Welcome to the 3 a.m. files, where the lights are low, the world outside is quiet, and something strange is always just beneath the surface. I'm Lillith, your narrator, your guide, and maybe your last link to what's real. Each night I'll be here to share stories that twist the familiar, distort the everyday, and leave just enough unease to slip into your dreams. So get comfortable. Let the darkness settle in. And don't worry, whatever's out there can't reach you. Not while you're listening to me. And if you enjoy falling asleep to the strange and the surreal, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. We're on the road to our very first 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of you helps this little midnight corner of the internet grow. Notice how office buildings always feel a little off after dark, like the lights hum a bit louder and the hallways stretch just a little too long. Most of us brush it off, blame it on burnout or cheap fluorescent bulbs. But some places, some companies, they're not just weird, they're wrong. This story, it's about a woman who got promoted to a job she never applied for, inside a company she thought she understood, until a mysterious red folder showed up on her desk. She opened it, and that's when reality started reorganizing itself. Settle in. This is Red Folder. The fluorescent lights flared to life as Evelyn Hart's alarm cut through the quiet hum of the night. She blinked awake, heart pounding, trying to remember where she was, why she'd gone back to sleep on her office desk. The glow of her monitor displayed a single open folder, Q4 Profit Forecast. Evelyn pushed her laptop aside and ran a hand through her hair, hiding the crease spreading across her forehead. This was her third straight dream tonight. Scenes of the old office building she'd recently started at, Signet Global, its polished marble lobby, the hushed floor beneath ground level where the compliance team operated, the break room refrigerator humming maliciously. Only these dreams weren't pure sleep. She'd wake at 3:17 a.m. every time, without fail. 3:17, a time that felt more like a countdown. She rubbed her eyes and noticed the time on the copier clock across the room. 3:17. Same as always. The copier was broken. Nobody had bothered fixing it yet. A slow mechanical moan echoed from its innards. Evelyn's hand brushed her desk phone and froze. It lit up with a blinking red indicator. A voicemail. But at this hour? Hands trembling, she pressed play. "Miss Hart," the message began in compressed, plastic-sounding corporate voice. "This is a reminder that file H17432 is overdue for review. Repeated requests have been ignored. Immediate action required." Silence cut in. Silence, and then a single tear in the static. It crackled again. 3:17. The message ended. She tore out of her chair, the office now empty except for the low rumble of HVAC and a single dangling cable that caught her foot. The overhead lights flickered above as she closed her eyes. Why did I dream this? Flashes of that tape loop in her mind, board members in low-lit rooms whispering code names, her name, the file number, H17432. She shook her head and tried to laugh it off. Pre-launch jitters. Evelyn unlocked her phone and tapped 7 emails flagged urgent. One from legal, another from compliance, another from ops, all asking, where was the H17432 review? It was overdue. Was she going to go on commission? They needed this for SEC filings. Then a chat ping from system admin. "Miss Hart, See executive board email titled Urgent H17432. She swallowed. Opening the file revealed a single row in a spreadsheet, column header, Target, and beneath it, her name, Target, Evelyn Hart. Beneath that, another cell, 317. A chill rose up her spine. She slammed her laptop shut and stood up. She'd been so absorbed in the Q4 numbers, she hadn't noticed the printing had resumed in the back, single sheets dropping from the misfunctioning copier. She crept toward the machine. One page lay on the floor. She picked it up. It was a photo, her, from behind, in the stairwell. Date and timestamp. Yesterday, 6:08 p.m. The stairwell lights. She felt someone behind her. A sharp exhale, a faint shift in the chairs. She whipped around. Nobody. Silence. Her own reflection in the tinted glass of the boardroom. She backed away. Phone buzzed again. Another chat. Issue Nuext file, H17432, now. Before she could respond, a wall screen at the end of the hall flickered on. Something locked in the meeting room. She stepped down the hall. The screen face glowed with a slide deck titled Project 317, subtitle, Compliance Mortality Protocol. She reached out to touch the screen. No one was in the hall. It responded. First slide advanced. Objective, remove non-compliant assets. The next slide loaded itself. Methods, isolation, review, execution. Her phone slipped. She backed up. Another chat came. You're next. In all caps. She sprinted back to her desk, fingers shaking. She launched the company intranet and typed H17432. The search returned a single directory. Hidden archives. C-level projects. Project 317. It contained two files, evreport.doc and compliancevideo.mp4. She clicked the Word file. It began with a disclaimer. This document contains proprietary compliance termination protocols for executive-level personnel deemed in violation of undisclosed criteria. Review must occur before arrears date and executed at 3:17. Her breath quickened. Beneath a table of names, blank but for hers, the status pending review. Below, remediation required Q4 or escalate. She closed it, but the MP4 link pulsed. Reluctantly, she clicked. Static, a flicker. A figure in a dark suit stands behind a table. Lights are stage lamp bright on that table, illuminating a single file folder bearing the same H17432 code. The figure lifts the folder, then slides it open. The camera doesn't show the figure's face, only their hands. Inside the folder, Evelyn's ID badge and a set of photos. One, her in the lobby, arriving. One, her desk. One, last night, asleep in the chair, coffee spilled across her notes. The figure slowly flips to more photos, now the stairwell shot. Then a new photo, the copier, with a sheet lying near it. But closer inspection on the sheet, her name typed in red ink, and beneath it, a date, tomorrow. Then the video cuts. Her phone falls. The lights go out. The office is plunged into darkness, except for the glow of monitors across the floor, each showing a single message. Compliance failure detected. Remediation required at 317. A siren groans in the distance. Low, heartbeat paced. She lunges for the door, but it's locked. She tries the card reader. Dead. A voice crackles over the PA. Evelyn Hart. Remediation protocol initiated. She stumbles back, pressing against the glass wall. The door's red light blinks. Tick, tock. Outside the glass, she sees the shape, a suited figure, but too tall, unnatural proportions. The head cocked to one side. Behind him, colleagues stand, frozen, expressionless, in crisp suits. They stare at her. His hand presses against the glass. She fights for breath. 317. Evelyn didn't scream. She couldn't. Her throat closed like a sealed vault as the figures beyond the glass loomed larger. The one in front, tall, angular, like someone who had studied how humans move but hadn't quite mastered it, tapped the glass once. Then again. Each tap synced with that dreadful ticking sound coming from the ceiling vents. Not a clock, not a watch, something else. The red light above the door blinked again, then turned green. The door whooshed open, letting in the frigid air of the hallway, and with it, the subtle scent of industrial cleaner and something coppery beneath. Evelyn stepped back, but the tall figure didn't enter. He simply turned, walked. And down the hall, the other workers, no longer frozen, followed him. One by one, silently, forming a strange single-file procession, suits perfectly pressed, faces blank. As they disappeared around the corner, the lights in that direction dimmed behind them. She should have run. Instead, she followed. The halls of Signet Global's executive wing stretched far longer than they had before, too long. Geometry here seemed to twist slightly, corners didn't bend the way they should, and the carpet gave underfoot like waterlogged wood. But Evelyn pressed on. At the far end of the hall was a steel elevator, unmarked buttons, no floor labels, just a single card reader. The tall figure was already inside, holding the door open with a long-fingered hand. He didn't beckon, didn't speak, just waited. Evelyn's card still hung from her lanyard. Against every better judgment, she swiped. The elevator accepted it, and the doors closed. They descended for what felt like minutes, not a sound, no music, no humming mechanics, just that same quiet mechanical ticking. She tried to check the time on her phone, but it had gone black, dead. The tall figure finally moved. His arm rose slowly, deliberately, and pointed to a camera in the elevator's corner. His fingers were impossibly long, like surgical instruments. She followed the gesture. The camera blinked. The screen above the door lit up, displaying a new folder. Remediation in progress. The elevator dinged. The door slid open into what looked like the original Signet Global lobby, but older. Outdated logos, dusty potted plants. The marble was cracked here, and a soft droning echoed in from deep underground. The tall figure exited. Evelyn followed. At the reception desk sat a man in an outdated Signet blazer, early 2000s if she had to guess. His ID badge was yellowed. He didn't look up, just scribbled furiously on a clipboard. As they passed, he mumbled, "Another one from compliance. Tick, tock, tick, tock." Beyond the lobby was a door labeled only Archives. It opened as they approached. The room inside was massive, far bigger than the building should have allowed. Row after row of filing cabinets, servers, reels of old surveillance footage. Cold white light spilled from hanging fixtures, casting elongated shadows in every direction. On a center pedestal sat the file, H17 to 432. The tall figure stepped back. Evelyn approached the folder with shaking hands. Inside were documents she'd never seen before. Reports from therapists, HR complaints that had been resolved internally, records of employee disappearances, always dated near quarterly filings, dozens of names, each followed by a single red stamp. Remitted. Her own name, again, on the final page. Status: pending. Recommended action: remediation by 3/17. Her hand hovered over the paper when she noticed the final note scribbled on the back. If you're reading this, you're not the first. This building doesn't have a basement. You're in the space between compliance and consequence. She turned, heart in her throat. The tall figure was gone. So was the exit. She ran, through the aisles of files, past old water coolers and unplugged faxes, past dozens, maybe hundreds of old ID badges strung up on hooks, their lanyards dusty and stiff with time. Then she saw them. Desks. Endless rows of gray cubicles, fluorescents blinking above, and workers, silent, motionless, seated and staring forward. Dozens of them, wearing different era office attire, some with pagers, others in 90s power suits. One was wearing a Walkman. They didn't move, didn't breathe, until Evelyn stepped closer to one. A woman, maybe mid-30s, hands on a keyboard, staring into a dead monitor. Evelyn whispered, "Can you hear me?" The woman turned, slowly, and blinked. Her lips moved. Tick. And the man next to her whispered, "Talk." Then, all at once, dozens of heads turned toward her. Evelyn bolted. She ran until her legs gave out, stumbling through another automatic door labeled Audit Room. Inside was something worse than silence. There were projectors lining the walls, all flickering through surveillance footage from office spaces. Not just Signet, other companies. Ones she recognized, old jobs, tech firms, investment banks, startups, footage of empty desks. Then, occupied ones. Employees slumped, some whispering, some clawing at the walls, some sitting in perfect silence for hours on end, unmoving, unblinking. A voice from behind. They never left, just rolled over into quarterly write-downs. She turned. It was a woman, tall, composed, wearing an immaculate blazer. Her ID said, Elaine K., EVP, Internal Affairs. Elaine smiled. "Compliance is eternal, Evelyn. You didn't file your H17-432 in time." "I didn't even know what it was," Evelyn whispered. Elaine raised an eyebrow. "Of course you didn't. That's part of the protocol. It's not about knowing, it's about conforming. You hesitated. The system noticed." She stepped closer. The system always notices. Evelyn backed away. only to find herself against a pane of glass, a viewing window. Behind it, a single chair under a spotlight, with a folder waiting on the desk in front of it. The same folder. Elaine touched the intercom. "Please take a seat. Remediation will begin shortly." The floor beneath Evelyn shifted. She stumbled forward, landing in the center of the lit room. The chair scraped back as if inviting her in. The door sealed shut behind her. No handle. She sat. The folder stared back. She opened it. This time, only one page. Her own employee evaluation. Each line item was blank, except for one. Initiative. Incomplete. At the bottom, final compliance opportunity. Sign below. There was a pen. She stared at it and realized the ink was already smeared across the page, as though her hand had already moved. A memory she didn't own, a compliance she didn't agree to, a system she never chose to be part of. She stood up. "I won't." The walls pulsed once. Elaine's voice crackled back. "Very well." The lights flickered. The chair sank into the floor, the folder burning away in sterile flame. Evelyn turned toward the door, now reopening. But outside, nothing, just white. A blank floor, ceilingless space, white fog in all directions, and footsteps. So many footsteps. The suited figures returned, not just one, thousands, all walking in slow procession towards some unseen goal. Each carrying folders, some empty, some red. None looked at her. They just passed by. Except one. A young man, 20-something, caught her gaze as he passed. His eyes wide, pleading. His mouth moved silently. "Run." Evelyn turned to do just that, and woke up. She was in her bed. Sunlight filtered through her apartment blinds. Her alarm read 7:46 a.m. She gasped for air. The dream, a hallucination? Had she overworked herself? She sat up and reached for her phone. One notification. New email. System notification. H17432. Resolved. She opened it. The message read, "Thank you for completing your final remediation. Your compliance has been noted. Please report to 17th floor for new onboarding sequence." She blinked. Signet only has 12 floors. She rushed to check her ID badge, still clipped to her nightstand. But now it was different. The background was no longer white, it was red. And beneath her name, asset type, remediator. Evelyn sat frozen on the edge of her bed, red ID badge in hand. She flipped it over. No contact info, no barcode, just a short string of numbers burned into the back. 0317 REM 01. She tapped her phone. No signal. Her apps? Gone. Replaced with a single icon, a red file folder labeled Signet REM node. She tapped it. The screen flickered and a message appeared. "Welcome, Asset 0317 REM 01. Initiate Phase 2 onboarding." Beneath it, a single countdown timer. 2:48:36. No labels, no description, just the time. ticking down. And below that, another line. Next report location, 17th floor. Building access, granted. Her throat was dry. She opened her front door, expecting the light and noise of the city, but the street outside was off. Silent. Too clean. Everyone she saw on the sidewalk walked at the same pace, the same direction, briefcases swinging in perfect synchronicity, all wearing red badges. No one looked up. No one blinked. Back at the office building, the lobby was exactly as she remembered, but different in the way a reflection might be, too polished, slightly distorted. The front desk agent didn't speak when she entered, just nodded at her badge and pointed to the elevators. She pressed 17. It existed now. The elevator rose without sound. Each floor ticked past, too fast, like time itself was skipping frames. When it stopped, the doors opened to a room that wasn't an office. It was a train station. Faint industrial lighting swung gently overhead, casting warped shadows along a subterranean platform. The air smelled like ozone and printer toner. Evelyn stepped out. The elevator doors behind her closed and disappeared into a blank cement wall. No signs, no exit. Just a single lit marquee ahead. Next train to compliance sector, ETA 0317. She waited. So did others. Around her stood other employees, expressionless, dressed in outdated suits and faded lanyards. None made a sound. She approached a man near her and asked, "What is this place?" He didn't answer. Instead, he handed her a folder from his briefcase. On the cover, "Welcome, New Remediator." She opened it. Inside were printed slides, like a training manual from the 1980s. Cartoons of smiling employees pointing at dangerous coworkers, whispering into phones, stamping forms. If a non-compliant asset speaks out, document it. Remediation is the reward for loyalty. Smiles are non-essential, each page stranger than the last. And at the bottom, scrawled in red pen, "Do not read this out loud. It hears you." The train arrived in silence. Its doors opened with no sound. Sleek, faceless, no conductor. Inside, rows of gray plastic chairs. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. The other workers filed in, without hesitation. Evelyn followed, the folder clutched to her chest. Once seated, the train began to move. No lurch, just sudden fluid momentum. And then, screens dropped from the ceiling. A training video began to play. A smiling woman appeared on screen, seated at a desk much like Evelyn's. "Hello and welcome to Remediator Training Module 3, Awareness and Obedience." The woman's smile was too wide. Her eyes never blinked. "You've been chosen because you saw something, and you didn't look away. That's what makes you special." Behind her, a whiteboard showed the word "Loyalty" in all caps. "Your first task is simple. Learn to identify anomalies." A new slide appeared, a grainy photo of a man at a cubicle. His expression was odd, offbeat, his eyes aware. "Do you see what's wrong?" the voice asked cheerfully. Evelyn squinted. The man was smiling. Everyone else wasn't. "Smiling without protocol authorization is a Class 2 breach," the voice chirped. The image shifted to another, someone with headphones on. "Class 4 breach, non-synchronized audio input." One more, someone scribbling notes in the break room. "Class 1 breach, Unauthorized cognitive deviation. Evelyn looked around the train car. Everyone was watching intently. Some were taking notes. She realized this wasn't a training session. It was an indoctrination. The train slowed. Doors opened. The voice returned, chirping. "Welcome to REM sector. Please report to room 317. Evelyn stepped off. This new facility wasn't an office. It was like a data center fused with a mental institution. Tall glass doors, sterile white corridors, sound-dampening walls. The only sound was a low mechanical thrum, like a heartbeat through concrete. She followed signs to room 317. The door slid open as she approached. Inside, a gray room, a desk, and a single monitor displaying a massive file index. The top of the screen read, "Non-compliant asset review. Begin." Dozens of video clips began to autoplay. Security footage, microphone recordings, emails, notes, each one showing employees doing things slightly off, using slang, cracking jokes, closing Slack too fast. Click to flag appeared under each one. Her hand hovered over the mouse. She didn't want to, but the countdown on her screen showed 2:13:04 remaining. Every flagged clip added time. By your survival with theirs. She flagged one. Time increased, 12 minutes. Another, 7 minutes. Her heart twisted, but her finger kept clicking. Each time the voice returned, "Good job, Evelyn. Loyalty is progression." When she reached the end of the playlist, the screen blinked and a message appeared. "Review complete. Continue to REM debrief, Sector 4. She followed another sterile hallway, but along the way something changed. The lights dimmed, and she heard it again. Tick, tock. From the walls, from the vents, from inside her. She turned a corner and froze. A wall-sized screen displayed a video feed of her own apartment, live. Her bed, unmade, her phone face down. On the screen, the footage flickered, then showed her sleeping the night before, then sitting up, then walking to her kitchen. But she didn't remember doing that. The footage showed her opening a cabinet and pulling out a red folder, smiling, then staring directly into the camera. Remediation begins at home. "Evelyn Hart," a voice said behind her. She turned. Elaine stood there again, immaculate, unreadable, hands folded. "Congratulations on your first review cycle." Evelyn swallowed. "What is this place?" Elaine didn't blink. "This is where those who hesitate go to work. You didn't conform, but you noticed. That's rare." She stepped closer. "You're not here to be punished. You're here to become useful." A pause. Then, "Unless you still think this isn't real." Elaine snapped her fingers. The lights went out. All screens shut off. Silence. Then, one last voice whispered from the dark, deep and metallic. "Final compliance audit scheduled. Asset 0317 REM-01 must review itself." The silence was alive. Evelyn stood motionless in the blackness. No hum of servers, no flickering lights, just the dull, low rumble of a world beneath logic. Then the voice returned, cold and mechanical. "Asset 0317 REM-01, final audit commencing. Please enter observation chamber 0. A square of light blinked to life on the floor in front of her. No walls, just white. She stepped into it. The light followed her movements, scanning her. Tick, tock. The room around her began to take shape, walls slowly materializing as if being rendered in real time. A mirror formed on the far end, stretching floor to ceiling. She looked into it. Her own reflection blinked, but not in sync. The reflection smiled first, tilted its head slightly out of sync with hers, and then it spoke, its mouth moving, but not hers. You've been watching the watchers, but did you ever ask who watches you? Evelyn stepped back. Her reflection remained still. Then the room changed. The mirror dissolved into glass, and behind it rows of observers. Silhouetted figures in business attire, faces blurred, each one holding a clipboard. No mouths, just perfectly circular eyes that tracked her every move. One of them stood and spoke in a voice that echoed from all directions. Asset 0317 REM 01, performance review in progress. A new screen descended behind her, playing footage again, only this time it was her. Not just today, not just from inside Signet. Every job she'd ever had, every meeting, every performance review. Every moment she thought no one had been watching. Clips of her hesitating to respond to managers, deleting Slack messages before sending, eye rolls, micro expressions, pauses too long before nodding, footage from her thoughts, negative sentiment during orientation, flagged, resisted forced enthusiasm, flagged, observed and documented anomaly, recovered without report, flagged. The screen froze on one moment, her in the stairwell of Signet weeks ago, staring at a fire escape that didn't lead anywhere, just concrete and fog. The panel of silhouettes murmured. One leaned forward. Final score 4.7, suboptimal. Another responded, reassign or recycle. Recycle? Her hands began to tremble. I didn't ask for any of this, she whispered. A pause. Then one voice responded, almost kindly. None of us did, but you were seen, and now you see. That's how it spreads. The panel stood in unison. Behind her, the door slid open with a hiss. Elaine waited. No clipboard this time, just a small black case in her hand. She stepped inside and placed it on the floor in front of Evelyn. 2 paths, Elaine said. You've earned that much. The case clicked open. Inside were 2 items. On the left, a red pen, clean, sharp, marked auditor class. On the right, a smooth, round pill, white, unmarked, label, reset candidate. Elaine gestured gently. Choose. She stared at both. One path, become what she feared, a remediator, a tool, a compliance officer for something inhuman. The other, forget. Rejoin the world. Pretend none of it was real, even if it never really left. Tick, tock. I won't be part of this, she said. Elaine nodded like she expected that. I'd rather go back. She reached for the pill, swallowed it dry. Nothing happened, at first. She awoke to the sound of her morning alarm. 7:46 a.m., phone on the nightstand, email notification blinking. Her ID badge white, clean, with the old logo. Back to normal. Everything normal. She exhaled. Just a dream. Just a very bad dream. But when she stepped outside, something was wrong. Not broken, not horrifying, just slightly off. Neighbors didn't wave. The barista didn't smile. Her bus arrived at exactly the same time as yesterday. The exact same person sat next to her, reading the same magazine. She got to work, her computer powered on. The same Slack message from her manager popped up. "Hey Evelyn, just looping you in. Don't forget H17432. Her blood turned cold. "No," she whispered. But the screen responded automatically, typing without her touching the keyboard. "Got it. Will comply." Days passed. Routine reasserted itself like a vice, but there were cracks. Her co-workers didn't blink enough. Every meeting felt scripted. And worst of all, she began to see the folders. Not physical, not real, but digital, hidden in drop-downs that shouldn't exist. Folders titled things like Shadow Assets, Red Folder Q, REM 4 Memory Bleed, and beneath it all, her name, buried deep in metadata logs she wasn't supposed to access. Subject experienced memory loop. Integration successful. She wasn't free. She was reformatted. Then one day she got a call. The number was just 317. She answered. No voice on the line, just breathing. Then a whisper. "You're not alone. Look up." She did. Outside her office window across the building, another woman was staring back at her. She held up a whiteboard. On it, 3 words. "You chose wrong." Then, security rushed her room, dragged her out. Her image flickered, as if she glitched, and just like that, gone. Evelyn sat at her desk. The cursor on her screen blinked. She looked down. A red pen sat next to her keyboard. She didn't bring it. Then, a final email arrived. From Internal Compliance Corps. Subject, "Welcome back." Body, "Hello 0317 REM-01. Integration complete. Shadow tier access granted. Begin observing anomalies in your vicinity. Tick, tock. The system thanks you." At the bottom, 2 buttons. Flag, peer, request remediation. She closed her eyes and clicked flag peer. Far beneath the building in the REM sector, a red light blinked to life. A new name appeared on the screen. Candidate 0317-REM-02. Scheduled for observation. The clock began ticking. Somewhere, someone opened a folder they didn't request, and far above, in an ordinary office, Evelyn looked out the window and didn't blink.